Hi everybody, welcome to 9 to 5 with Yona and Lisa. I'm Lisa Carberg. I'm a former newscaster.
And I'm an attorney in Connecticut.
And we have a special guest with us today.
We do. We have a former judge, John Nazzaro, and he's here with us today. He's actually no longer a judge, but he is going to speak about some interesting topics that he has, curious things about being a judge. But he now is a personal injury attorney and a former star of your own cable show. Is that right?
Many years ago, yes.
Yes. And you have a degree in journalism.
I do.
Yes, I was interested
interesting.
I was interesting to hear that. I didn't
Now,
know.
and you will talk about some of the summer issues that are facing parents, news you can use, like injuries at summer camp, things like that. So we'll be going into detail about things like that. But first we thought we'd start light and talk about summer's here. Do you guys have like a bucket list every year, things you like to do? Like get a lobster roll or go to a clam shack?
Yes.
Well, definitely seafood is always big. You know, this is the time of year we love it on the shoreline. And I'm going to be an empty nester next year. So spending time with my high school graduate who's going off to Washington, D.C. She called me up yesterday, Dad, let's go to the beach in the afternoon.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had to do that.
So do you feel like you have more free time or less free time now that you're off the bench?
Well, probably less time, but more disciplined in terms of my schedule. I enjoy it. I'm very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing.
You've been doing personal injury even prior to being on the bench, isn't that right?
Yeah, before I was a judge for 10 years, and in that assignment as a judge, I had many assignments, some of which included presiding over jury cases, numerous trials. But I was an attorney 23 years before going on the bench, and I spent 10 years on the bench, so I'm an old guy.
I can't even believe that, honestly. I never said to people, you really don't look like, what did you start
Thank
being an
you.
attorney when you were 12?
Thank you. Oh, she's flattering me.
Honestly.
And you're a local
And you're not
guy.
even
Yes,
a judge,
sir.
so you know it's a genuine compliment, because you're not a judge anymore. I can't get anything.
That's funny.
Oh, we have a special occasion here.
Speaking of age, yes, I do have to admit, today is my birthday.
Isn't it your birthday week?
It's
You're
my
a birthday person.
It's a birthday month.
I'm not
honestly.
a birthday person.
I usually milk it for like a month, birthday week.
Oh,
month.
do you?
Yes, you have to do the birthday month. We're going to have a little toast today to my birthday.
So we've challenged you to pop the
I was
cork
asked to
live.
do the honors.
Well, not live, but as the
without the breaking of the ceiling. But there's a lot of questions that I, as an attorney, always wonder about a judge, because we're sitting down there. You're up there like a superior person when you're a judge, and I always wonder, what is a judge thinking about? What is he thinking about this pro se person, someone who's not represented by an attorney, and what they're wearing or what the impression is they're making? I always wonder. So now we have an opportunity to hear some of those thoughts.
Should I pour this first or wait?
Yeah, you can pour that.
So
we're going to get a loosened up to
go.
talk about all the secrets.
Here I'm talking about being a judge as I'm opening alcohol during the day, as I'm day drinking with the two ladies here. Something's not right about that.
So people really do represent themselves in court
Absolutely.
all the time?
Quite a bit.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
And why? They just
Here we go.
think,
We're gonna part.
okay.
I hope it doesn't. I'm
Okay.
gonna do this.
Okay.
There we go.
Perfect.
That was easy.
That was nothing.
See, I used to use my waitering skills.
Whoa!
Former busboy of many years.
Right.
Look at you.
Let's do a little toast here.
So in honor of Yona's birthday,
honor of Yona's
yes.
We're going to have our cameraman have some after, but in the meantime, we'll have
I
this
have
now.
to give you just a couple little cute
On
little
the
things.
air?
Yes.
Oh, this is very scary.
You can open the card later.
Okay, I'll open the card.
Scary. I wouldn't embarrass you.
Hopefully there's no battery-operated items in here. Oh, look, isn't this
That's
lovely?
for like jewelry or
Oh,
earrings.
that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And it's nothing embarrassing. A pretty little candle. Actually,
Smell
What
that.
is
You have to smell it.
It's a ceramic
it
pineapple.
smells
What do you do with
so-
that?
Well,
You put like rings on it.
yeah,
Okay.
and you put like the
or-
rings on there. We actually need candles in the office because we have Lucy here. I don't know if you can see her on camera, but she doesn't always smell great. So we burn a lot of
You
candles
do?
in here, and that actually is a perfect gift. Thank you so much.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
it.
Happy
So we'll have a
birthday.
little toast to that.
All right.
And we'll get to the serious
Birthday.
stuff while our former judge is drinking. Right?
She told me her age off camera. It's 35, and we are celebrating her 35th birthday. I don't mean to embarrass
See,
her.
isn't that good?
That's good. Well, how did you choose that one?
I had a charity event, a wine or a champagne tasting about 8 years ago.
Wonderful.
We had expensive champagnes. We had 5, and this one actually won for everybody's blind taste test, and it's only about $13. So that's a
Wow,
little tidbit. Yeah, that's a
that's
little tidbit
nice.
for you.
Perfect.
So
That's good.
back to the serious stuff now. We were talking about people who come in and represent themselves. Do you see people and think are there any 3 tips you would give someone if they're
Well,
going to go into court?
Yeah, I think, first of all, the reality is in our court system today, a lot of folks cannot afford lawyers. Lawyers, by and large, are expensive, and you have a lot of people that are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, dual income households.
I just have to interrupt you. I only look expensive. I'm actually not that expensive, just for
No.
the
Flat
viewers.
fee.
Yeah, it's flat fee. Okay.
No, and I have to, in all candor, Attorney Gregory appeared in front of me in housing court,
Yes.
always prepared.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
And the reality is there are affordable lawyers such as yourself,
That's true.
but in family court especially,
Yes.
over 85% of the docket, when you're dealing with custody issues, people come in unrepresented.
Right.
If you go to criminal court, a good number of the people are represented by the public defender. They
true.
simply cannot afford lawyers.
Right.
So I would recommend, if you're going into court, and I caught a little flack about this when I was in Hartford, because I think it's okay to tell people you ought to think about dressing like you're going to church. This is
I
important.
100%
But
agree.
you'd
I
be
wish more
surprised.
judges would say that.
You'd be surprised that people that
Yeah.
come in very slovenly, you only have one chance to
Right.
make a first impression.
Right.
So put a clean shirt on.
Yes.
Does it kill you? Because I used to say in criminal court in Hartford and other courts I was at, especially a young person would come in with a clean shirt and a tie. I would say, that tells me you respect yourself, you respect
Right.
the institution, so that helps. So you're a
Yes.
leg up already.
I used to see a judge in New London, and he would tell people, I'm going to give you 2 weeks, go home, come back looking like you respect the court. You know, they'd come in with T-shirts and things like that.
And it's a sad-
loved
Yes.
it.
It's a sad thing. My mother used to say, it doesn't cost anything for bar soap, right?
Right.
So you don't have to go out and spend a wardrobe. Just look presentable.
Yep.
And unfortunately, again, we might want to will something. There are a lot of folks out there who are very challenged, be it mental illness, be it substance abuse, combination of both, and they simply have no life skills, which is why they might be in a criminal court to begin
Right.
with, or
Right.
housing, being
Yes.
evicted,
Yes.
couldn't pay the check, their paycheck bounced, they didn't have the
Yes.
money in the account.
Right, they're struggling.
They
Yes.
just,
Yeah.
it's very difficult. So I will tell you that judges do realize that. Judges are in the business of judging because they want to help people.
Right.
So they wake up in the morning wanting to do one thing, and that's the right thing. So you look past the window dressing, you look past
Yes.
the person who's disheveled,
But not to say
and
it
try to
doesn't
get to the
make a good
source.
impression, though,
Yeah.
if they do come in and dress
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah, so give us some tips. What
Yeah.
are some tips?
Well, I would say be prepared. And I was thinking before coming here, I remember a foreclosure case. I was presiding in foreclosure court in New Haven. And this woman came in, and she was in her mid-40s. She had her files, she had all the documents. And it was a classic case of she got lost in the system. She had been sending letters, and she was a former HR person. So she had good organizational skills. She
right.
worked in human resources. And I listened to her story, and it made perfect sense to me. And she had told so many people along the way
Right.
without success. But she got to me, and I said, I'm going to give you that opportunity to try to redeem your property. And it's like nobody until that point had ever listened to her. She'd
I'm
been
sure
dealing
the
with the
bank
bank.
attorney loved
Yeah.
that. They were
Yeah.
so happy,
Yeah.
right?
But,
No, that's a joke.
But I have to mention something. In family court especially, I heard from lawyers
Yes.
who say sometimes the judges overcompensate for the self-represented. And,
Right.
and they told me very
Yeah.
candidly,
Yes.
some with whom I'm friends now, I'm back being a lawyer, they would say, Judge, these judges are bending over backwards. They're making me look bad. My client is saying to me, why do I have you
Yes.
if the judge is
You're gonna favor
treating
the
that
other person,
unrepresented
right? Yes.
person so
Yes.
favorably? And maybe judges do overshoot, trying to help the person who's unrepresented. But the bottom line is fairness
Yes.
and opportunity to be heard.
You're
That's the goal,
absolutely
right?
right.
So,
Nice.
So, summary on that is just, one thing is try to dress well, try to look, try
Be
to
prepared.
present, be prepared. And I think that the same thing goes true for lawyers.
yeah.
I mean, we probably look at
I
lawyers
agree.
that come in slovenly and think they automatically don't look prepared. I do
No
think
names.
that. No, it's not ever me.
Just
That's the
kidding.
one thing I think. I'm not maybe the smartest lawyer, but I know that when I go in there, I'm going to dress well, respect the court, and to me that gives me like some advantage in the beginning. So, I just feel like it's important in my own practice as well. So the topic that we really want to get from you today is,
Sure.
now that you're back in the personal injury world, a lot of kids now are in summer camp. A lot of kids are being taken care of at daycares and in homes at places. And I always remember when I'm signing up for my kids' summer camp or activities, you sign a waiver and it says you can't sue anyone if they
Right.
get hurt. And I always wonder, that just seems crazy. Is that real? Does it mean what you sign, you
in
can't
Connecticut, assumption of risk is no defense. These waivers that
Okay.
are signed have really questionable validity.
sue? Even at a bounce house for a birthday party?
It's
Okay.
ridiculous. Although
Interesting.
that's the
Interesting.
corporate practice, in point of fact, in Connecticut, to a large extent, waiving rights and assumption of risk is contrary
Everywhere.
to public policy.
Okay.
So if a dispute ever really ended up in a court of law, it's questionable whether that would be valid.
Okay.
But
Does it matter the significance of the injury? For instance, if someone went into maybe
Sure.
a bounce house, that's a good thing. I think a good example.
Right.
And maybe
Yeah.
they got cut in glass. There was glass on the bottom because an employee threw a glass or something like that. Would it matter what the circumstances are if it was? It would matter.
It does. You know, we screen cases daily. Oh my gosh, the amount of cases. Even today, I'm thinking of different phone calls that we had. You have to look at the damages. Let's say something happened, but it was a cut on the hand.
Right.
That's different than a cut off finger. That sounds awful.
Right,
But the
yes.
greater the damages,
Yeah.
the more incentive there is to pursue a claim.
Okay.
Because the theory behind making a civil claim, we can't turn back the clock. But what
Right.
we can try to do is get money damages as fair compensation.
Right.
So
Like
the bigger
stitches?
the bigger the
Nice.
loss, the bigger the
Okay.
compensation.
Yes. Right.
And today, my partner's brother came in today, and he runs a substantial insurance agency. And I said to him, Kevin, what I've noticed now versus when I was a lawyer over 10 years ago, is the degree of acrimony and fighting. He says, are you kidding me? We fight about everything. Everything is a battle.
Right.
Even the most meritorious claim is
Yes.
vigorously defended.
Wow.
And you have to go in and have an advocate. It's very hard.
Yes.
It's hard to deal with an insurance company. You're not on even footing,
Right,
you know.
of course. So if you
as an
get, say
attorney.
your child gets injured
Yeah.
and you think to yourself, a lot of people I know are of the opinion, I even am, I don't want to sue anyone. I just want to get my money or whatever I need to
Right,
do.
my insurance paid for
A
it.
lot of people think that, and they say they go to the source of where the accident is, maybe the town or wherever your child was injured, and the town says to them, you know what, you signed a waiver, you're done. Should you accept that? I mean, is that the point where you go to
No.
a lawyer? So you,
Short answer, no.
yeah.
Because chances are, let's be candid, everyone is speaking from their own perspective
Right,
and
their
point
interests,
of reference
yes,
and their
yeah,
interests.
yes.
And they're going to look at their perspective first. The reality is you probably should see an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Most attorneys in the personal injury area don't charge a fee up front.
Right.
It's a contingent fee, and any capable lawyer, do your due diligence, I would say, to the consumers.
right.
Go on the internet. Check out their website. Is the lawyer board certified?
Okay.
Are there complaints against the lawyer pending? It's like Better Business Bureau.
Sure.
The local bar committee. Has a lawyer been grieved successfully? And do your homework.
Right, and that's public information. is
Public
that right?
information, but more, if somebody's got a funny looking website, chances are they may not have their act together.
There's
so to
spelling
speak.
errors or grammar errors. It's a no. That's my pet peeve with
Do your
lawyers.
due diligence. But I'm old school. I think
Yes.
the greatest recommendation is a former client, right?
Absolutely, I
And
agree.
word of mouth.
Right.
And we all in the community know each other, but it's hard for the consumer, especially in the day of nowadays TV advertising.
Yes.
Right,
And
right.
we laugh sometimes because some of those TV advertisers merely get the client and refer them off to
I
a firm
agree.
like,
It's like they're a
Yona
face,
or
yeah.
myself.
But
And they're a
just real quick,
clearinghouse.
where is your office located?
Sure. We're at 160 Hempstead Street, and I should say I'm a partner with the Reardon Law Firm in New London, and I practice with Bob Reardon and Kelly Reardon
He's
and Joe
wonderful.
Barnes.
So such great reputations. Now, do you handle just New London County?
No,
or?
we're all over. In
Okay.
fact, we're dealing with Minnesota Federal Court, Missouri Federal Court. We're throughout the
okay.
country. We've been, frankly, all over the world
And
with
you do
claims.
medical malpractice as well?
We do medical
Okay,
negligence.
that's
We
good to
do
know.
Yeah,
products
Just tough
liability.
cases.
We get referrals from lawyers from literally all over the country.
It's wonderful to know. So one last question I think that everybody can use that came to my mind. What do you do if you get in a car accident and it's not your fault?
Sure.
You think you're hurt, you're on the side of the road. What is the first thing you should
Who
do?
do you call?
What do you
What do you-
call?
Yeah, I think the first thing is probably self-preservation to make sure you don't
Right.
have an open wound and take care of that. And when you get your wits about you, call 911.
Okay.
Emergency services
Okay.
will arrive. And you're not thinking it initially,
No.
but at some point you have to think, anticipating going into adversarial mode.
Right.
Document,
Okay.
photograph,
Okay.
right? And
So if you're not really
Preserve evidence.
very
That's
injured
important.
and you're able to ambulate and you're
Yeah.
fine, would you recommend you take pictures of anything particular?
I would take pictures of everything and anything,
Okay.
and the truth is, a year from now, 18 months, you will have wanted to do that, and you can
Right,
always dispose
right.
of it. But if you preserve it,
Right.
then you have it in perpetuity.
Right.
You never know, and we know, and I know Attorney Gregory appreciates this. Soft tissue injuries in a car accident, so-called whiplash cases,
Yes.
it sometimes takes days and weeks.
Right.
We've seen symptoms
Yes.
develop months
Right.
after.
So you're saying you
So
might
you
not
don't
even know you're hurt right
Absolutely.
away. That's right.
Do you admit injury to the or admit fault to the other driver,
No.
or what do you do?
No.
I have
No.
to. Hey,
Legal
You know,
advice from
and,
Lisa.
and even your own insurance
You have
company.
to ask the
I'm
basic
guilty, I
questions.
did it.
No,
No,
you
yeah,
really
you
try
do,
not
yeah.
to say much. You try to be courteous.
that's
You
absolutely
try to be
true.
helpful. Again, if somebody's got an open wound, do the humane thing and help. Try to help them. But it's good not to make statements. anybody would advise you to do that.
Okay.
And you might be viewed as a little cold or detached, but you have an interest to protect. You might be on the end of a lawsuit.
Right.
You never know.
Right.
And one last question: if you fall in a store, slip and falls in
Yeah.
stores. My dad recently broke his hip
Oh,
in a
no.
store, so I'm just learning this. But not everything. Just because you fall down a store doesn't mean they're automatically liable. Is there something you should do? Should you take pictures once you fall?
I hate to say it again, preservation,
Okay.
documentation, and it depends on the type of injury because there's an issue of notice in a fall.
Yes.
And the theory behind all this is negligence. Is there a duty of care? Was there a breach of that duty? And did the grocery store, for instance, have notice of water leaking from the
Gotcha.
refrigerator
Right.
or
They have to
or
know
fruit
what was there.
in the
yes.
aisle,
I
and so
remember
we get
that.
into debates about that. But I would say preserve everything. It's really sad. We have a new case where a lady came in and she's on the floor, sprawled out, and no one's helping her.
In a store?
She's
Because
just
they're
laying
afraid
on the
to be
floor
sued too.
because they're
Yeah.
afraid to even approach her. It's so sad.
Right.
So
Right.
common sense.
I
flies
remember
the
that
coop.
about people. I have a psychology degree underneath, but they did a lot of studies about when people will help and when they won't, and the factors. It's very interesting. But one thing I did learn too about falling in a store, it's a good idea to get a witness, right? Like say if someone's walking by you, it might be a good idea to get their name and number.
If you can.
Because if there's no one with you, that person could have known what happened.
It's sad because you might be accused later of just manufacturing the event.
Oh.
It's a terribly
Yes. Right.
adversarial process. So
Right.
the more you can document, the more you
Right.
can corroborate,
Right. Yes.
get a name.
I think that's good
Yeah.
information for people. So accidents, definitely try to take pictures if you're not.
Yes, and the witnesses. I had a fender bender years ago, and I got the witness's name, and I contacted her. She showed up in court for me,
my God, that's
and it was
wonderful.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I wasn't at
Yes.
fault,
Yeah.
and it was proven. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate it. We could go on. I still want to
That's
ask
fast.
judge questions.
Oh,
Like, what do
that's
you think
okay.
about people when they come
What
in?
do you wear
But-
under your robe?
no.
I'll say this,
Am I out of
clothes.
line? I'm thinking what America's thinking.
That's a
I'm hoping
comment
it's a
normally
suit.
I would say. I'm like, I think are you more
We're
feminine
golf
to me? You're
shirts?
We're
spending too
dressed
much time
appropriately,
with
but
me.
I do have to laugh. There was a judge downstate who used to wear Puma sneakers on the bed, and he was a character. But
That's
most are
sweet.
dressed appropriately.
Not that I'm ever going to have an opportunity to be a judge, but I always look at them and think if I am a judge, I want to somehow make my robe more fitted
Yeah.
and like get it cinched in and tailored so it's like fitted dress.
Oh,
like because
boy.
I just can't sit up there like a big
Well,
One to nine to five.
I used to call it. I used to call it a dress. It's my dress.
It
It's
is a
hot.
dress.
It's polyester.
It's not flattering.
Cover-
I mean,
no.
you look great, but I mean,
Oh,
it's
thank
not.
you.
It's not. Nobody looks good in that dress. You're just like
Yeah.
a black mountain. It
Boxy.
couldn't be less. I feel like they want you to blend in with the court, so you're not really an individual. You're part of the court, and you're revered. But
There's a little ceremony.
they need to make something more flattering, and then I'll think about being a judge. But anyway, in the meantime, we'll just have you to talk to. Thank you
All
so
right. Well,
much.
Thank you. That was
Thank
great
you for having me.
insight
I
and
mean,
your
it went quick.
experience and
I
good
hope I
news we
helped.
can
Yeah, you
use.
did. Yeah.
I hope so.
Absolutely. So yeah, as we head off into summer,
Yes.
we should.
One quick thing.
Go ahead.
Our next show.
Oh yes. We'll
Speaking
tease
of
ahead.
clothes and budgets, I am convinced that anyone can buy an outfit at Walmart that's work appropriate and would be appropriate to go to court and would be inexpensive.
And we're
So
going shopping.
We're going shopping,
And
and
getting
Lisa
outfits.
and I are going to get outfits. And there's going to be a person here is in
From HR.
from HR
and
who's going to
interviewing.
judge us on which is better. But we're only limiting our shopping rather to Walmart.
Because it's
Stay
affordable.
tuned.
We want to
Stay
show how
tuned.
easy it is.
Yes,
We're going to
stay
do that
tuned.
with food
Yes.
as well.
And another yes.
We should also mention you were on Fox 61.
I was, yes.
And I know there's a picture of it on our
Yes,
9 to 5
yeah.
Facebook page, but Yona did great.
I survived.
She was talking about how to vet
I
childcare
was,
for the
yes.
summer and nannies. So I have to toot your horn for that.
And
Sorry.
I just came back from a girls' vacation the day before,
Right.
and I still got up and was there looking like
we had
somewhat
to be there
perky.
so early.
And it was tough. I didn't, I was winded it down a little bit early on the girls' vacation in preparation, but otherwise I was proud of myself.
But it was great. So I
It
just
was
wanted to
great
bring that up.
experience, yes. Thank
So we'll continue to share our 9 to 5 with you throughout the summer, and we hope you enjoyed us. And cheers again.
cheers.
All right,
Happy
Yona's
birthday.
birthday. Happy birthday, Yona.
Thank you.
Can we still call you Judge? Is it like a governor or no?
You could call me Judge. Call me John is fine.
Okay.
I've been called worse. so-
Okay.
Toasting with the Judge.
Thank
It's
you.
another show.
Thank you
Take
for
care.
having
Thank
me.
you.